Let's go!
You are now watching 14A Sports on 15MOFE.com.
14A Sports Radio Show. All right, so while we're waiting for our NFL Draft Insider, Chad Bus to call us right now, we're going to get into the whole Darrelle Revis, Jets, Bucks thing like that. What do you guys think is going on?
When's it going to happen already?
Enough.
Get it out of the way.
Do it. Let me ask you, why have the Jets not accepted that trade offer? A 1-3-5 or a 1-3-6? Why have they not accepted that?
They like to stay in the news.
Yeah.
You think that's what it is?
Why don't you?
They have to take that.
They got
Listen,
it. It's the only offer out there.
The Jets are terrible. Sanchez is terrible. We all understand that. They have to clear cap space, right? Honestly, they have a great. Cromartie is tremendous cornerback. When Revis went down, they still had a good defense. They don't need Revis. They need the picks. They need to rebuild their franchise. That's absolutely what they need to do.
There's a whole bunch of things at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. We're gonna get into it, but I think the Revis thing is something that they need. It's gonna have to happen. And
here's our boy.
Here he is, live, our NFL Draft Insider, Chad Jones. What's going on, Chad?
Hey guys, how you doing today?
What's up, Chad? How we doing, brother?
Not too bad. Week away from the draft, so we're getting excited.
Very much so.
I like you already. You made it past those technical difficulties that we had right there. We had to carry on for a little bit at the beginning.
Thought I had the wrong number, but we're all right.
This is gonna work out just fine. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. How you got into evaluating draft prospects.
Well, I think I started out like most people, as a casual fan. Just interested in football, liked football, played football.
Where'd you play?
And kind of around the 2008 draft, I became really interested in evaluating prospects, and from there, I kind of learned a little bit more about it, and been in the sports and entertainment business now for a couple of years. So this is kind of what I do on a regular basis.
That's awesome. Hey, so do you sit down? Do you break down film? Like, is that what you do? You get a bunch of film, you break it down?
A bunch of film, you get the film, you watch it. I think the most important part is to get the broken up film of a prospect where it's really zoomed in on him and you can really watch the different aspects of his game.
Right. Do you so when you watch a regular college game, right, to evaluate picks, do you watch a singular player or you watch the game as a whole? How do you watch a college football game? Do you try to evaluate during that time, or do you just watch the game?
Well, if you're going to, for example, I guess the way I look at it is if you're going to watch a corner, you can't just watch the cornerback. You got to see what's going on with the play. So you're really watching the broader play and then really watching how he reacts, how he plays. And I'll tell you, when you're doing that, a lot of times, you'll be looking at a corner and all of a sudden some defensive tackle will jump out at you or some linebacker will jump out at you. So you're really watching, the whole picture and then trying to zoom in at the end.
All right, real quick. So in all your film analysis, what's the best college program that you think that prepares players for the NFL? In all your analysis, who do you think is the best college program out there right now?
I think the easy answer would be Alabama.
That's got to be, right?
Yeah. Everybody
runs a tremendous program, but I think the aspect of it that he does best is the kids that come out of the program are ready to practice at the NFL level.
Right.
They're not surprised when they get there. They know what to expect.
Right.
Yeah,
I think a lot of guys want a good program, and I think it's across the SEC you have just tremendous programs that really prepare the prospects well.
Yeah, I think last year FIU, they had Alfred Morris coming out. Jonathan Cyprian this year. I think that's going to be a school that we need to keep on our radars with people coming out.
Absolutely.
Now I get
right. It's interesting. The new coach down there is actually Norv Turner's brother, Ron.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Ron Turner. Yeah, where ever heard that name before?
He was Norv's brother. He was with the Colts for a little bit.
Okay.
And I think the Titans last year. The Buccaneers last year, and got the head job at FIU.
Must have been doing a great job there that I knew about.
You should have probably known that.
Isaiah Thomas was down there in the basketball program. He did a hell of a job down there, huh?
Oh, Isaiah. I thought he was still running the Knicks.
I think Jimmy Dolan wants him there, but that's another subject.
All right, so let's get into the draft now. Then, before you came on, we were talking about this whole Bucks Jets situation. When's this deal going to get done? And I guess just give if for the people that have been living under a rock for the last month, give them a little bit of a timeline of events here.
I mean, the potential Revis trade has been going on for months. And obviously on Revis's end, he's entering the last year of his contract. Per the terms of his agreement, they can't put the franchise tag on him. So if the Jets don't make the decision to extend Darryl, he's going to be out the door next year. And I think that the new general manager, John Idzik, has basically sold Woody Johnson the idea that I'm going to help you rebuild the program. And to do that, I need to start valuing draft picks. And the idea that Revis could potentially return you a first-round pick in this draft, I project he'll return a first and a fourth in this one in 2013, and probably a future pick, whether that's a third or a second, is really it provides you a lot of ammo in this draft. But I think from the Buccaneers' perspective, it's they've run onto dark times down there. Mm-hmm. They're having trouble with the fan base.
Yeah.
6 games this year were blacked out, so they can't sell tickets.
Yeah, me and you were talking about that earlier about all the blackouts and stuff like that, and I was saying that Tampa Bay really needs that star power. I feel like a broken record saying that, but
that's what ownership says. Ownership says that we'll fire up the fan base with the marquee guys, and they signed Vincent Jackson, Deshaun Goldson. I mean, these are high-profile players.
Maybe they should bring one of those soccer players over. Those guys.
What's that?
Yeah, they bring one of those soccer players over. They own the Manchester, whatever they own.
Yeah,
right?
One of the soccer players, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that? Soccer?
They're having soccer games at the building, so why not?
Oh boy! All right, now with this trade, a lot of different teams are looking to move up, look down. What are some?
I think on the Revis thing though, I think the interesting part is Revis' representatives. He's represented by Schwartz and Feinsod, which is, they've done a tremendous job with his contracts to this point in his career. I mean, he's looking for his third contract already at 27, so he's really getting paid pretty well. But they're looking for an extension. They say that rivals Mario Williams to be the top defensive player in the league.
Hey, Chad, let me ask you. If you're the Jets, you got to make that trade, no? You have to make that trade.
Absolutely.
What is holding them up?
Absolutely. Because you don't invest $100 million in a cornerback, no matter how good he is.
I completely agree. And then
especially coming off a knee.
And you got Cromartie, who is an elite cornerback in himself. You don't need 2 of them.
Right.
See, what I think is interesting is if I'm Tampa Bay,
you want Cromartie.
I would prefer Cromartie.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
I got him for 2 years, $8 million a year. I think that's a good deal, but I think I could give you a second for him.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the direct line to my guys down there anymore, so
You didn't even know Ron Turner was the coach.
Yeah, I know.
Last year, so.
But who besides our insider?
I think the Jets fans kind of recognize that it was a good era. They got the 2 championship games, which relative to Jets history, it's pretty good.
Right.
But I think it's time to rebuild the foundation.
No, Chad, let me speculate with you. Let's go a little, hypothetical. So, God forbid they get that 13th pick. You are not taking a quarterback, are you? You can't take a quarterback, right? Idzik cannot take a quarterback. And the reason I say that, Chad, is because they're going to have a new head coach next year.
Absolutely.
You cannot take a quarterback in this
You're
draft.
spot on.
You can't do it.
Your goal ultimately is to make this job attractive to coaches next offseason.
Absolutely. And you whether it's a defensive player, and I think they should take the best outside rusher, however they view it. And then if they could get to 13, maybe a dynamic offensive player, I completely agree. But you cannot. I've seen a lot of mock drafts with the Jets trading Revis and getting that 13 and taking Geno Smith.
That's
to me,
because
that's bananas.
everybody right now
Bananas.
is having difficulty projecting where Geno Smith lands.
Yeah, I know.
So what do you think of Geno Smith? I don't think he's that good.
Well, I'll tell you, if you read Nolan Naraki's scouting report on him, that was over the top. I mean, but he did the same thing with Cam Newton, and he's very opinionated. He's very well respected.
Yeah, I don't see Nolan being his agent anytime soon after that.
So I didn't read it. So what did he rip him up?
He rips him up. Says he's not a student of the game. Says that comes from a system that's very quarterback friendly, which it is. I mean, Dana Holgerson's system is it's a typical college spread system that's
absolutely
evolved from Hal Moom, and it's had success in college, but it's had trouble translating to the NFL.
Right.
I think the big difficulty is if you watch Geno's games, the hash marks in college football are very wide. So what you do with the spread system really does is it puts 3 wide on one side of the field, the wide side.
Right. Yeah,
to
isolate.
put one on the weak side, and it manipulates the wide side of the field. I think he's had trouble doing that in the NFL. In the NFL, you got to play from the pocket. You got to be able to read through progressions. And he doesn't have a lot of experience with that. He doesn't have experience in a pro-style offense. But at the same time, he has a lot of physical tools.
Well, as we saw last year, we had the pistol going all over the place. I mean, teams showed last year that they can put in a new offensive system to cater to that kind of quarterback. I mean, do you see this happening anywhere with Geno, or, it's just a lost cause with him?
Well, what's interesting is, Mike Shanahan, really did a tremendous job transitioning RG3 out of Art Brill's system at Baylor, which is actually the one Kevin Cobb played in during college, and really catering it to his strengths. Mm-hmm. You need to build a system around Geno Smith. You need to bring him along slowly with the development. Asking him to do more, different things every year. But is he going to drop back like Peyton Manning does and identify the safeties, figure out the coverage, and find his open man? Really read through progressions. I'm not necessarily sure that he'll be able to do that now, or even in the future. I think that's a real concern.
Chad, we're getting a lot to Geno Smith, and maybe this is the last point, but my problem with Geno Smith is he had a ton of fumbles. His pocket awareness is can you teach pocket awareness? I don't think so.
You cannot.
You can't.
Some people have feel in the pocket.
How many times did he fumble the ball?
33 fumbles in college.
Horrible. Geno Smith.
Yeah, enough Geno.
What I heard from somebody was what elite quarterback prospect takes two safeties in his final game.
Absolutely right.
All right. Now, how about we got on here Star Lotatui. This is a guy that I like, a lot of other people like, but he's going to be a product of what happens before him in the draft. What do you see happening with him? And then also Jarvis Jones. He's another guy that's kind of floating around. I like him.
Both with health concerns.
I like him, Jarvis Jones to 15 at New Orleans. But where do you see Lotatui going?
Obviously the health concerns with both players are a major concern. But I think when you're really evaluating prospects, you have to evaluate them based on the scheme fit. Mm-hmm. Where do they fit into a system that they can excel? I think starting with Star Lotulelei, everyone's got trouble with that name.
Just call him Star. It makes it a lot easier.
I think Star is the league's moving more towards they want penetrating 4-3 defensive tackles that get upfield and generate pressure. Mm-hmm. I don't think Star's that type of player. I think he's a real two-gap guy. I think he's a 3-4 guy. Right. If Cleveland didn't go out and spend so much money on Desmond Bryant, I would think that would be a good landing spot. I keep hearing Philadelphia, but I just don't think they could pass on one of the tackles at 4. And then you start looking down. Does Tennessee determine that he's the best available player? I think that's a decent fit. But I also think that San Francisco is a team that, when a value player like that, he's a top-notch football player, and that guy is an absolute wreck between the tackles. And I think that San Francisco, with 14 draft picks, I could see them trading up to land him for their system. I think he fits perfectly the way they lost Sopoaga, down to Philly, up to Philly, and I think you need that player in the middle of the 3-4 defense. I think he fits perfectly there.
Now,
he's definitely falling. And it's a lot of it's the medical. A lot of people just don't have him on their boards because their doctors just can't approve him. And a heart issue is a really big thing as 23 years old.
The heart's kind of important, I guess.
It sure is. His agents have done a good job. He's represented by the guys at Rep 1. They've done a really good job of trying to maintain complete transparency in the process. Mm-hmm. But I think that if you just look at the visits he's had, he's visited Philadelphia, obviously. He really hasn't had. He hasn't been visiting teams to the point that you'd expect. And if you're going to think about investing a first-round pick in a guy with those kind of medical issues, he's a guy you're going to have in your building. You're going to really get him in there and evaluate him. So
right. So what you said before was interesting. So you don't think the tackles are going to go like 1-3, or you think they're going to be on the board there? And I think the other thing that compound that question. What's Chip Kelly going to do? Chip Kelly's a wild card, isn't he?
He's absolutely a wild card. And, I heard something that was interesting. He's one of the people that spoke about, back to the Geno Smith discussion.
He's not taking Geno. Is
He spoke about the hash marks, how you can't manipulate the hash marks at the pro level.
He can't take Geno.
And to me, that jumped out at me as I'm not taking Geno Smith.
Right. He can't. He can't.
I wouldn't.
He can't.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think that he takes the best available offensive tackle.
Now let's
real quick. So you're talking about the offensive tackles. Do you view Lane Johnson in the category of Jockle and Fisher, or do you think he's a grade below?
The question with Lane Johnson is, do you believe in your staff's ability to develop him?
You got to teach him up. Right. He hasn't played tackle for very long. You got
He's
to
a
coach
converted
him
tight
up.
end.
Yeah. He came in as a
quarterback.
quarterback.
Junior college.
Yeah.
You know, the question is, do you believe in your ability to develop him? And if you look at, what Seattle did with Russell Okung or
Right.
what Washington did with Trent Williams, I mean, they took those guys and they made them
coached them
absolute
up.
tackles.
Right. Right.
He has, if you look at, just year-to-year measurables, speed, size, length, he's the best tackle in the class. But
No, he's.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know if he's the best. He's most athletic, no doubt.
most athletic.
Right.
But no,
Right.
football-wise, is he a safe pick? He's not as safe as Fisher or Jokel.
But probably the biggest upside, no?
Absolutely the biggest upside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, one of the guys I wanted to know about, let's say the draft plays out like this, where Luke Jockle goes first, and then you got Deion Jordan. Then I saw what you said about Miami moving up there, getting that 3 pick, and getting Eric Fisher. Now, at 4 there, do you think the Eagles would take a shot at Sharif Floyd, or would they go for Lotatui?
It's interesting. Entering the postseason, he obviously had a tremendous bowl game, which really caught people's eyes, but he really just flew up. A lot of people viewed him as a mid to late teens guy, 20s guy. And all of a sudden, you had a lot of guys, Daniel Jeremiah with NFL.com, Mayock. They were really high on Sharif Floyd. And, when you hear Warren Sapp speak about him, he's really high on him. And I actually do trust Warren Sapp's ability to evaluate his 3 techniques.
Don't let Warren Sapp manage your money.
I'll tell you what concerns me,
You'll
though.
be selling your sneakers by the end of the day.
He's another guy you got to project into a scheme that he's going to excel in.
Right. I completely agree with you.
I'll tell you what really concerns me with him is length.
He has short arms.
Yeah.
31-inch arms. And the knock-on, I'll tell you a guy who was a bust was Cedric Ellis with the Saints. The big knock on him was that he had alligator arms. His arms
Is he
were
the same kind of player? Yeah.
he had 32.5-inch arms. This guy's got less than 31.5-inch arms. So if you're going to have those short arms, you better have elite explosiveness.
Right.
And
Do you think he has that?
I'll tell you, on tape he does. The combine, he did not show that elite explosiveness. If you compare him to a guy like, Fairley, who had those 34.5-inch arms, the big ones you want, or
Right.
Sue or McCoy, he didn't test as well, which is a real concern.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, Chad, we're gonna get to a break right now, but we'll do part 2 of this right afterwards.
Come
Sounds
right back
good.
with us.
Yeah, come right back with us. We got a lot more to get to on all this. All right.
All right, great, guys.
All right, so we're gonna get to a video break right now. We'll have part 2 with the interview with Chad after this.
Let's go!
Welcome back to the 14A Sports Radio Show. All right, we are here with our second part of the interview with Chad Jones, our NFL insider. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at NFL Draft Bites.
Yeah.
BITES.
I'll tell you what, this kid has a lot of good stuff, man.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of good stuff.
A lot of good stuff.
Absolutely.
All right, Chad, so let's get into a couple of the quarterbacks that we might see here at the end of the second round or possibly get traded up for at the end of the first round.
It could be the beginning of the first round.
Possibly.
So we're talking quarterbacks now.
Quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We've already done our segment on Geno Smith.
Yeah, yes.
Let's not
You know
mention
what?
that name again.
Enough
He's
of
a
it.
competitive guy.
All right, so let's start with Nassib. What do we like with him?
I think what everyone's saying is they call him an old-style linebacker. He's a mentally and physically tough kid.
Uh-huh.
Experienced in 2 different pro-style offenses, which is really advantageous in terms of getting him into your system quickly.
Yeah.
He understands terminology of West Coast offense, which is obviously really important for teams like Buffalo. He's working before his pro career with Paul Hackett, who's Bill's offensive coordinator's father at Syracuse.
But he's a West Coast guy, absolutely, yeah.
I think he has. I think that when you say West Coast offense, I don't think there's no more West Coast offense the way that Bill Walsh ran it.
Right.
The Tampa 2 really killed it because you can't just throw short and intermediate anymore. But I think that just the system with the terminology is what's important. And when you look at him, he's got more athleticism than his combine shows. He moves well in the pocket. He feels the pocket well. But I think he's got great feel and touch on the ball. good arm strength. You know, I think that he's probably the top quarterback in the draft. I think he's worth a top 10 pick, frankly.
You think he's a top 10 guy?
I think that I could tell you that in 5 years from now he's going to be a top 12 quarterback in the league, top 15 quarterback.
You know what? I agree with you. I think he's the best quarterback in this draft. No
I
doubt
think,
about it.
I think he's a much better prospect than a Jake Locker. I think he's a better prospect than Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah,
Blaine,
Yeah.
I think both. I don't know why either of them went in the first. You know what? Teams need quarterbacks, and I think they make themselves fall in love with
you
these
seem
quarterbacks.
like the Vikings.
And
Well, no, I think that if you have a quarterback need and you find the guy you like, you can't risk losing him and say, oh, we're just going to trade up into the end of round one.
like the Dolphins with Matt Ryan.
You got to have a partner. You got to have a trade partner.
Sure.
And ultimately, I mean, if you're at Buffalo and Nassib's your guy at 8, you're saying, oh, we don't need to take him now. We'll trade back into the end of the first round. That forces you to give up your third round pick for sure. And you also risk that someone else will take your guy.
Do you think Buffalo's going to pull a trigger at 8?
I think that unless they can find a way to slightly move down, if somebody wants to move ahead of the Jets for say a Mingo,
Right.
or I think maybe they can move down slightly.
Okay.
But I think the first Buffalo pick should be Ryan Nassib.
But on your board, he's the best quarterback.
He's the best quarterback on my board. Yes.
I agree with you.
Interesting. Now, in your mock draft, you had E.J. Manuel going number 4 to the Philadelphia Eagles.
That, huh?
Is that for real? Is that a for real thing?
That's why they call it.
What's that?
E.J. Manuel. I mean, you serious there with the Eagles at number 4?
That's a joke, right? That was a joke
I'll
board.
tell you what. There's a rule for evaluating quarterbacks that a lot of people take seriously. They call it the 26, 27, 60 rule. What that means is they want a guy that scored a 26 or higher on the Wonderlic test, so he's smart. They want a guy that had
Vince
27.
Young style, huh?
They want a guy with 27 college starts, right?
All right.
They want a guy with a higher than 60% completion percentage. And what people are saying is, oh, well, Manuel, he missed the 27. He only had 26 starts. But you look at him, when he would come off the bench, in his sophomore year for Christian Ponder, he's got a lot of experience. He wins games. He won 4 bowl games. And I think you can build a system around him.
Now, that's
Really?
that's interesting that you mentioned Ponder because he was another guy that came out of FSU with the high Wonderlic score. He's a guy that a lot of people say that has a lot of intelligence, and obviously that hasn't translated into the NFL. I mean, I know that they made the
He doesn't have
playoffs
an arm.
last
He
year.
doesn't have an arm.
Well, you need an arm to play quarterback.
He's had elbow problems and shoulder problems dating back to his days at Florida State.
Well,
That really translates.
at least he got that sideline reporter to marry him.
Yeah.
So he got that going for him.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think when you look at Manuel, I mean, this guy is a big guy, 6'5", 240
kid.
pounds.
Yeah.
You take a hit.
He came in as a huge prospect coming into Florida State, no doubt about
He was
it.
his top recruited kid in the country.
Yeah.
He's a player that he does a lot of things well, nothing exceptional yet, but he's got the arm strength. He shows good accuracy. He's a natural leader.
Listen,
people gravitate to him. I mean,
E.J.
he's just-
Manuel's not coming in and leading your team to the playoffs next year, no, right? He's a little bit development now in the NFL is a little bit. That's like 2 years, but
he will be off the board by 15.
Really?
get out. I
Whoa.
think Chad.
We might have to make a long-term bet on this
I will
one.
bet you a Jameson shot that he's not. How about that?
I'll tell you what the comparison I keep hearing on him is Ben Roethlisberger.
I saw that too. I was thinking maybe a
What?
little. I don't want
That's what people are saying. They're saying, he's
Really?
that type of quarterback, he's that
Interesting.
type of leader. And I think Philadelphia, I think he makes a ton of sense. I mean,
No, at
he
4.
was recruited by Chip Kelly to Oregon. He chose
Wow.
Florida State over Oregon.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
Wow, Chad, you were bringing.
Hey,
it.
it's
You
a-
said Chip
Yeah,
Kelly's a
baby, I
wild
love
card
it.
too.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I
That's
keep
true.
seeing these mock drafts where people are projecting Manuel, to the third round or late second.
Mm-hmm.
The kid's not going to New York City for the draft because he doesn't know he's going in the first round. He's going in the first. The question is where. If you look at the way he's handled this entire process from the conclusion of his playing season to now, he's handled it the best of any quarterback. He's absolutely did tremendously down at the Senior Bowl, really impressed people in the meetings. Did well. I mean, the combine showing was just, phenomenal athleticism. You're talking about a guy that 6'5", 240 pounds with 35-inch arms. Those are left tackle arms, right? We're talking about a guy that 4'6", 34-inch vertical. I mean, he's really athletic. You can
So
do
let
some
me
of the
ask
read
you,
option stuff with that.
Hey,
Chad, why
oh,
didn't he do that well at Florida State? Tell me that then.
We're getting into Geno Smith territory with EJ Manuel.
Yeah.
We are. He's going to continue to fly up the boards. But people say the flying up the boards, what does it mean? I think what it means is that people are really starting to buy into a kid. They're saying he can do it. Why didn't he do well at Florida State? I'll tell you the game that puzzled me was he lost to NC State and he played an absolute terrible game. And how do you lose to NC State? I mean, that team had no talent.
Yeah.
And that moves you on to Mike Glennon, who's another big guy, big body.
I don't like him.
He's
I don't
all,
like
he's
him.
All, he's all body, man. He's
all body. He's a lanky guy.
He's all body.
6'7", 225. Coming into the pre-draft process, he's a guy that I really like because some of the throws he makes just blow you away.
No, I agree.
Okay, let me ask you to wrap up quarterbacks. Matt Barkley, if he comes out last year, he's a top pick. Where's he go this year, though?
What? The thing about Barkley is he has a very high floor, which is a good thing if you want to be conservative. If his ceiling, I was thinking about prior to Carson Palmer going to Arizona. If you put him there in Arizona with 7, which coming out of the combine, everybody said Arizona was very high on him. Is he the kind of quarterback that's going to go out there and beat a San Francisco or beat a Seattle? I don't think so. He's the type of quarterback that if you have a lot of talent around him, he'll be good. Yes, because he's tremendously accurate. He's very smart. He prepares, experienced the pro-style offense. But he's not that. He's not. You never confuse him for Joe Flacco.
He'll never be an elite quarterback.
Right.
He'll never be an elite guy.
We overplay that word elite. Is he a guy that can win you games? Yes. Does he need a talented team around him? Absolutely.
I think Mark Sanchez was in the same boat, and
Yeah,
he lost his skill around him, and he deteriorated.
See, he's definitely had to overcome the knock of being a USC quarterback. I think he's handled that well. He hasn't said, I'm not Mark Sanchez or I'm not, Matt Leinart. But I think what he's continued to emphasize is he's very experienced. He knows how to prepare. He's worked with a pro-style coach. And he's the kind of kid you can make the face of your franchise. You're going to trust him inside and out the building.
So where do you have him going?
I view him right now as a second-round pick. I think at the end of the day, someone will trade into the end of the first round to get that fifth-year option on him.
Who do you think?
I think he makes a lot. I think he makes a lot of sense for Oakland.
Okay.
I think if Houston hadn't given the extension to Matt Schaub that they did, he would actually be a good fit in Houston. But they're trying to win with Schaub. They're not thinking about the future.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
No, Houston's a win-now team.
And he's another. He's a system guy. You're going to have to. Do I want to put him in Bruce Arians' vertical passing game system in Arizona?
He can't play that.
He can't do it.
All right, so let's bring the draft closer to home right now.
Let's get it.
Let's talk about the New York Giants. They've got the number 19 pick right there, just bunched in between Dallas and Chicago, two NFC foes. Can't get that out. The Giants have an obvious need on the offensive line. They also need a linebacker. Which direction do you see them going here?
I think with the Giants, somebody told me once was that the free agency process speaks to the draft, vice versa. I think Jerry Reese deserves a ton of credit for the free agency that he and the Giants executed. So I think taking care of that. Losing Martellus Bennett was, I think he's a grossly overrated player. But I like the Brandon Myers signing, so tight end's good. He doesn't have to look at Eifert.
Right.
I don't think it's worth looking at Eifert. I think that going into free agency, he had interest in right tackle, addressing right tackle through that, but I think the contract they ended up giving Will Beatty, that was a huge deal. Ended up they didn't have the resources for it. So they added Dan Connor at linebacker. He's kind of a stopgap solution. So you're going to see a lot of people projecting Alec Ogletree at 19. I think there's a chance he doesn't get there, but I also think that I don't think he fits the system, the scheme. I think he's a weak side linebacker. I think they need a middle linebacker that stops the run. I like Teo more than I like Ogletree for the Giants, but I don't think Teo's value at 19.
Yeah. Now,
I don't think Fluker gets there either. I think Fluker will be off the board.
I don't think Fluker's that good.
I like in the mock draft. I like Arthur Brown, inside linebacker, Kansas State. This is a guy that I've been very high on the last couple of weeks.
I'm very high on Arthur Brown as well.
I think he's got a tremendous ceiling. The Giants did this a couple of years ago when they drafted JPP. They drafted him at 15, and a lot of guys saying, "Who the hell's this guy?" I think Arthur Brown's that same type of player where New York guys are gonna, the fans here in New York are gonna say, "Who the hell is that guy?" And then, I think this guy Arthur Brown is going to be a great linebacker in this league.
He's very similar. He's a young Michael Boley. He's your prototypical 4-3 weak side linebacker. He's a guy that you're going to have to protect him. You can't if he gets tangled up with an offensive lineman, he's gonna have trouble.
Manti Te'o's the same player. Listen, I watch almost every Notre Dame game of Manti Te'o's career. Manti Te'o doesn't want to engage the guard.
I think he takes on a block better than Brown does and better than Ogletree.
Let's ask
Teo's
Teo's. Let's ask Teo's girlfriend about this right now. So,
I think the problem with Teo to the Giants is there's a real question about.
No.
And this will have shown itself when they had the private workout with him. You see a guy you have to take off the field on third down. I think the linebacking core for the Giants clearly needs work. You look at a guy. I personally am very high on Jacqueline Williams. I think he's a star. Once they let him really play.
Really?
I think Connor's a stopgap guy.
You think Jacqueline Williams is a star?
I think he's a star.
Hey, listen, he watches the game film. We don't.
Really?
So.
Wow. Well, I haven't seen it yet.
All right, now
I think he's going to surprise you.
Let's
But he's another one. He's similar to Ogletree. He's a converted safety, which so is Ogletree. These converted safeties that move well in space.
Right. All right.
Personally, I think 19. If Fluker's there, you take Fluker. I think if Vormak's there, you take Vormak over Fluker.
I disagree. Fluker's not that good. Fluker's not that good.
Right, but what is the answer to the Giants for right tackle?
That's an excellent question, but I don't think it's Fluker. I think you're reaching. No, but I think you're reaching at 19. Yeah. Jerry Reese.
I'll tell you what, a guy I would take that nobody would like. If I was on the board and the way I projected falling, I'd probably take Eric Reed.
The safety.
Reed.
The safety from LSU.
Interesting.
In front of Elam and
what's that?
And the kid from Texas. Both of those.
I don't think Vaccaro will be on the board. I think Vaccaro is more of a versatile kind of up near the line guy, similar to the way Roll plays.
I think the Giants are right with safety. They got Roll.
Yeah.
They got Stevie Brown. My boy Will Hill from St. Peter's Prep.
I like Will Hill. I like Eric Reed. Yeah. I agree with you guys. I'm not sold on Fluker. I think he gets beat to the inside.
I don't think Fluker's very good. I really don't. I don't think he's that good.
All right. Well, we've established that point. Let's move it over to Richie's Dallas Cowboys.
All right.
What do you see the Cowboys doing here? I know in your mock draft you got them trading with San Francisco.
Yeah, a lot of people
moved down in the draft.
First round.
And you got.
I think Jerry Jones is going to move.
Okay.
Always.
He's a guy that loves the deal. He's talking to everybody about moving somewhere because he's never happy where he is.
He's not very good at it, Chad.
What's that?
He's not very good at it.
I actually projected the Claiborne move last year. I've been projecting him to move up for a corner for a long time.
Oh, look at you. Look at you, Chad.
Love Claiborne.
Go ahead.
I projected actually both ends of that
horn,
trade.
Baby. Toot that horn.
I'll tell you who I like for them. I think if Warmack's there, you take Warmack.
Oh, I love Warmack. I think Warmack's the best.
Yeah,
I think he's the best player in the draft.
What's up with Warmack? I heard his stock strap dropping a little bit lately.
Cooper's considered a better prospect right now than Warmack.
Yeah, because I heard Cooper's more versatile.
You know what, though? Chad, go back to your point to a couple other things. It depends on the system.
Yeah, absolutely. Cooper's a zone blocking left guard.
Warmack is a mauler. He is a straight mauler.
Yeah, he's
a straight-ahead player that can do some inside zone for you, but he's a man-blocking guard.
He is a 10-year Pro Bowl player.
Romo needs a guard like that in front of him, I tell you.
Yeah.
I also think that, and this is an unpopular suggestion, I think a guy like Justin Hunter, the wide receiver.
Oh, you think they're going there?
I think that, obviously, both Bernadou and the other guard they have are both coming off major off-season surgeries, so they don't have any answers at guard.
Right.
So I think if Warmack's there, you're probably going to take him because you've got Tony Romo. For all the abuse he gets, and the guy's rolling out of the pocket constantly because there's pressure in the middle of the
Romo's a good player.
And
his numbers are there every year.
I really though it sounds like a crazy move because everybody Des Bryant's there, but I think that if you could get Justin Hunter, move Miles Austin to the slot where he's more comfortable. I think Miles Austin, dude's contract's going to be gone in a year.
Yeah, he's always hurt. And
the combination of Justin Hunter and Des Bryant is just, whew.
How good do you think Justin Hunter is?
I think he's the best wide receiver in the draft.
Really?
I thought that for...
Better than Patterson, his Tennessee teammate.
Cordell Patterson, he's a guy that, everybody will say he's great with the ball in his hands, but apparently he just flunked the pre-draft process.
Now, does he remind you of Dez at all? Because Dez, his mother was a prostitute.
And I'm sure she was a lovely woman.
I'll tell you what. When the Giants selected Hakeem Nicks, right?
Right.
He was a guy that scored. I think it was a 12 or 13 on the Wonderlic, which is very, it's not high, right? And obviously Wonderlic scores are supposed to be confidential, and evaluating them is you act like you're some sort of you're really condemning the prospect. But there's rumors out there that Cordarrelle Patterson had a very low score, like startling low score.
I'm shocked.
I'm shocked, right? So can you teach him? Can you teach him an NFL system? There's other stories about during his interviews processes and during the combine and his private interviews that he'd be talking to a wide receiver coach, and they'd be trying to figure out who this kid is, and he'd be texting on his cell phone, or there's a real maturity question with him.
Well, was Des Bryant not the same question?
What's that?
Wasn't Des Bryant the same question?
He still has trouble running
Des
routes.
Bryant was the same question, but he had a lot of tape.
He still runs bad routes.
Yeah, and I think as a lot of these draft processes go along, everything's being a lot more nitpicked than the year before. It just goes that way, and that's how.
I'll tell you what. When you look at Cordarrelle Patterson, right? Can you teach him how to run a full route tree? Can you translate? Can you teach him how to really be that outside wide receiver? That's a real question. But I think that the other guys you look at and you say, Robert Woods is more of a slot. DeAndre Hopkins I think he's a very good player. I don't think he's.
Here from Clemson. Right?
Yeah, I love Hopkins.
He has a high floor, low ceiling.
He's going to be the best receiver when this is all said and done.
I think the guy that I like that I would probably take in round 2 over Patterson in round 1 is Derek Rogers, the former Volunteer.
Okay.
He was kicked off the team. He's a Tennessee Tech kid. I'm not sold on Cordarrelle Patterson, and now all these revelations that I'm hearing it starts to make me believe NFL personnel is not sold on him either.
Now, Chad, let me ask you. I know we just signed Romo to that big extension and everything. Is this finally the year, though, we get somebody to start coming up behind him? If so, what round and who?
See, I've heard Cowboys fans after the extension saying, it's also time to groom the heir apparent. Just gave the guy $100 million. He's a quarterback.
He ain't going anywhere.
I mean, maybe if you find a quarterback in round 5 you like and you want to develop, maybe that makes some sense. But at the end of the day, you guys got Romo. And you know what? Romo is a top 12 quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
The guy's going to win games for you. He's also going to be frustrating when he turns the ball over.
Yeah.
He's got his blemishes. But maybe Jerry loves Tyler Wilson, comes from his own alma mater. But I don't think that a backup quarterback is – I think you're right, though. It is smart to find a developmental one behind Romo because, paying Kyle Orton $3 million when you guys have that salary cap.
Let's get somebody to bring him along a little bit.
Yeah, at least a developmental backup.
Yeah, because Romo was there like 3 or 4 years before he started, right? So that's not a bad deal.
That
I
was
think the Cowboys, when you look at the offense, you say it's guard. When you look at the defense, you say, how do we make Monty Giffin's scheme work?
Yeah.
How do we make
that's a huge thing with the Cowboys now. They're complete. Where's going to have to play with his hand on the ground now, huh? That's going to be
Where is
he's up the middle.
One of the best players I've seen, but he's breaking down.
Yeah.
And now he's played outside linebacker, standing up his whole career, and now he's got to put his hand down.
I think he'll fit scheme at the end. I think Ware's going to be more of your situational guy. Your pass rusher. I think Spencer's perfect for the system.
I agree. Yeah. I think Spencer's yes.
If you can find a defensive tackle,
I think Spencer was miscast.
Yeah, D tackle's huge here in this draft for us.
If you could find maybe it's Sylvester Williams from UNC.
Yeah.
Maybe it's if you can find a way to get your hands on Sheldon Richardson.
How about Jonathan Hankins from OSU? What do you think?
Hankins is one of those guys that he's very similar to Starla Tulele, where he's.
I agree. I think he's a run stuffer, man.
He's a run stuffer. He's not going to get any pressure up the field for you. I think he's a poor man's B.J. Raji.
All right.
Show me what you got, Raji.
I project him going to the Packers in round 2. I think he's good value there. I don't think he's. I just he's a guy that was just overrated throughout the entire season. If you look at the guys at ESPN, they had him as a top 5 pick.
Jeez. Before we wrap it up, let's talk about our local guys here at Rutgers. We got a couple guys here on the list. I got a question for you before we go to the Rutgers guys. Sure.
What do you guys think of Tavon Austin?
The Jets. I see Tavon Austin as to the Jets. Oh, this is what I wanted to talk about earlier.
I bet him $75 the Jets won't take Tavon Austin.
When I was originally doing my mock draft, I was going to say, what if, and I wouldn't put it past the Jets to do this, but what if they finally get that Darrelle Revis deal done? What if they grabbed Tavon Austin at 9 so nobody else could get him? And then they went and grabbed Geno Smith at 13.
No,
I wouldn't put it past the Jets.
Well, Geno Smith is crazy, but if they grabbed Mingo at 9 and then took Tavon Austin at 13, That wouldn't be crazy to me.
Thing is, I don't see Tavon Austin making it past the San Diego Chargers. I really think the Chargers could use a guy like that.
The Chargers need a tackle.
They need weapons. They need weapons. They got nothing
He's
on
great
offense.
Space and
Tavon Austin would be a luxury pick for the Chargers with that offensive line.
Right. Well, I agree. I mean,
The Chargers aren't taking Tavon Austin.
they could.
He's one of the most polarizing prospects that everybody has a different opinion on.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously small, but I think
really
the Jets
small.
is interesting.
yeah, though.
That's fine. There's been a lot of small guys, tearing it up in the NFL the last couple of years. I don't
I mean,
think
the
that's
Jets
gonna
went with
be
the really
interesting.
big guy that moved. Stephen Hill. That hasn't quite worked out. So why not go with the really small guy now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yin and
But
yang.
Stephen Hill played at Georgia Tech,
In an option system.
Yeah,
They knew they were going to have to give a couple
Oh,
years.
but guess
for
who
him
else
to
did?
develop.
Didn't Calvin Johnson? Same thing.
Oh, well, Calvin Johnson
Yeah,
was a
he's
man
a little
amongst
different,
boys.
yeah.
No, that was different.
Yeah.
All right.
Calvin Johnson caught over 1,000 yards in college.
All right.
Stephen Hill wasn't even close. He was a very good blocker.
All right, so to close it out with these Rutgers guys, I guess Logan Ryan is probably looking like the best prospect out of all these guys from Rutgers. You got Kasim Green, also Juwan Jamison. I guess, give us, where do you think these guys are going to fall?
Logan Ryan's a guy that I tweeted about that I do like.
Mhm.
I think that, it's obviously a lofty comparison, but I see some comparable qualities to Darrell Revis.
Right.
I think he's really physical.
Oh,
I think the time speed is really catch-up speed. If he gets beat, can he catch up? It's a real concern.
yes.
Yeah.
But I think
Listen,
the physicality is
right.
off the charts.
No
But-
doubt. I completely agree with you. I'm a Rutgers grad. I'm a Rutgers season ticket holder. Logan Ryan, he'll get up in the line of scrimmage. He'll hit people, no doubt about it. But he doesn't. His
He had 90 tackles last year or something?
Oh,
I mean,
tremendous. But when he gets beat, he got beat in that Louisville game. Teddy Bridgewater beat
yes,
him.
Teddy Bridgewater caught him with a couple double moves.
Yeah. And he gets beat. So, but I think that's technique to a degree. I think he'd overcome that. But
I think he's a guy that he has the demeanor
stock
and
really
the
fell,
mindset
though,
to be
no?
a press corner.
His stock fell a ton, Logan Ryan.
What's that?
His stock fell a ton. Like, he was projected 1-2, and now he's not even in the mix.
And now people project him to be around 3 weeks. But that's the strength of the cornerback group. I mean,
It's a
you
strong.
look at guys like guys that are people are starting to really consider top prospects are Darius Slay, Mississippi State, Jamar Taylor. I mean, the corner group is just exceptionally deep. I mean, it goes down to there's 13, 14 guys that people are very high on.
I tell you what, for the Buccaneers, I'd love for Schiano to, renew his roots right here
take his
with
boy
Logan
back.
Ryan, and maybe they got a little bit of a smoke screen going
Schiano
on
will,
Logan
too,
Ryan, and then they got a spot for him somewhere in the draft. The Bucs hit the draft out of the park last year, getting Mark Barron and Doug Martin. So, I'm
Doug
very
Martin's
very
great,
interested to
yeah.
see what happens. with
And they
these
got the
guys.
linebacker around too, which
Um,
is the
yeah.
Nebraska kid who's.
Oh yeah, Levon David.
Round 2 is the place to find the linebackers. I'll tell you that.
Back Steve.
All right, so speaking of that, we got Kasim Green right there.
Kasim Green, I would love, if the Giants don't go linebacker at 1, I would love Kasim Green. All he does is make tackles. That's all he does. He makes tackles.
Yeah, I mean, the production is obviously there. It's off the charts. What people say is that the system was really built around him to an extent where he was, slipping through blocks and making a lot of tackles. He's around the ball a lot. He's got good instincts, good speed, good reactions.
Yeah.
One of the knocks that I've heard on him is he had the slowest 3-cone drill at the combine of any linebacker,
Really?
which is that bothers people that want change.
Luckily, you don't have to run between 3 cones to get to the running back.
That's true, right?
Excellent point.
But I think he's around 3 guy. He doesn't have
I'll tell you
opposing
what,
size.
he's an NFL outside linebacker starter, no doubt about it. He's a stealer in round 3.
He is. Yeah, he's going to make a team's roster. He's going to make a team happy.
No, he's going to be a star. Chad, he's a starter. He's a starter.
Starter?
And this is no
No
Rutgers
doubt.
bias whatsoever.
Right, no
Coach.
Rutgers.
All right, so then we got to move on to your running back, Juwan Jamison.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Now, all right. What do you think of him?
All right, I'll give you one thing. He averaged 4.1 yards per carry in his career at Rutgers.
Behind a porous offensive line.
A poor offensive line or not, I mean, if you're going to average 4.1 in college, you're probably going to average 3.5 in the pros.
Right.
It's just,
I don't think he's that good.
3 yards in a
I'm
cloud of
not- I'm
dust.
not
Is that what you're
advocating
telling
for
me?
him. I don't think he's that good. I don't think he should have left. I think he should have came back.
he absolutely should have come back. I don't think that he's not, big, creative in space guy. He's not a David Wilson.
He's not Ray Rice. No.
He's not Ray Rice.
I think he thinks he is, but
I think that you look at these smaller running backs, they got to be really explosive in the open field.
I agree with you.
And Ray Rice, he has that different. He runs with great power too.
Ray
I don't
Rice
think Jameson runs with great power.
And he caught the ball. Actually,
and
they
he caught
didn't
the ball.
use him enough in the catching game, but that's the whole difference.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he's a fire hydrant. He's a little guy.
Fire hydrant, I like.
He's he reminds me of Jacquizz Rodgers, the kid on.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he's as good of a prospect, but I think
Jacquizz
he's a late draftable player.
Right.
I think one of the issues with him is you probably can't keep him on the field on third down. I don't think he can block.
No.
So I think he's a late guy.
You know what my favorite part of Juwan Jameson is? Anytime he scored a touchdown, we got to do a shot of Jameson. That's my favorite part of him. No, I don't think he's a big time NFL player at all. At all, if he makes a roster, I don't think he is. Kasim Green, I think he's an NFL starter of day one.
Day one, huh?
Yes, day one.
Hey, we will keep the words to it. We'll get the bets going as we always do. Yeah.
I know we've been hassing it. We can.
All right. We got one question I like that we didn't get to though.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Who will be the best player out of this draft?
Oh.
10 years. Who do you guys think?
When we take a look at this draft later on down the road, I got to stick with my boy Arthur Brown. I'm sticking to him.
That's your best player?
I think he's going to be the best one out of all this.
So you got Arthur Brown. I got Chance Warmack. He's the best player in the draft.
Okay. Rich, who you got?
I love Nasib, man, and I think he's going to do great things. Watch
You
it.
going to
Watch
Sim,
it.
I like it.
Ballsy.
Bulls.
Very
Hey,
ballsy.
you know what? Drew Brees was an early second-round pick, so,
Right.
you know.
No, that was the Michael Vick trade.
Oh, that
They
was
took
the best thing.
LT.
LT, first
Yeah.
round,
Oh,
and
my
then
God.
right in
Who
there,
do you
so-
got, Chad? Who's your best player in the draft?
Ezekiel.
Zeke!
Best name in the draft.
Fake JPP. No, the best name in the draft is Marquinhos.
Yeah, there you go.
That's just the best name. He is going to be the best player. He's going to be similar to J.J. Watt.
Okay.
J.J.
Wait.
Watt's an animal, man.
All right.
He probably
You
can't even
you
spell
got
J.J.
you
Watt,
got
but that guy's
Ezekiel
an animal.
being JJ Watt.
I got him either being J.J. Watt or Aldon Smith. I'm not quite sure yet.
Oh well.
All right.
Well,
We're going to decide once we get him in there, you know? Yeah, we're going to make a quick determination. We want you to be that or that.
That's what you got to do.
All right. Well, since we did the star of the draft, who will, before we get out of here, who's going to be the big bust of this draft? Chad, you could start this one off.
I think the obvious answer at this point is Cordarrelle Patterson.
Okay. All right.
I'll just
You don't
get
like
that.
him at
I think
all,
that's
huh?
too easy, though.
Too easy.
I think
Lay
Deion
up, you're
Jordan.
laying it up, left-handed. Nice.
I'm not comfortable with Deion Jordan.
Okay.
Oh, you don't like Deion Jordan?
Hey, one pick here, Chad. One pick.
No, Chad, you pick as many as you want, Chad.
I like that. Deion Jordan, Cordarrelle Patterson. Those two guys I'm not comfortable with.
All right.
I'm also not comfortable with Geno Smith, but, you know.
I'll go here.
That's my pick.
Yeah,
I got
right.
Geno.
Yeah. Well,
I
since,
think Geno sucks.
since you stepped on my Dion toes, I'm gonna go Ezekiel and Zach. Really stick it to you.
Coming back at me, huh?
Yeah, but you know what? I probably just walshed him, and he's gonna
He's gonna be the
he's
best
gonna be
player in the
illustrious
league.
star for years and probably be on GQ magazine's cover many.
Well, I'll tell you
times.
what. If you boys are doing mock drafts, Ezekiel Ziggy Ansah, first overall.
Yes, I did see that.
You're out of your
Oh,
mind.
and Rich, who you got as the big bust here?
Just give me whoever Oakland takes with their first pick.
What's that?
Whoever Oakland takes with their first pick.
Oh, God.
You know what? You're probably the best. That was the best answer.
That was good.
No
Hey,
doubt.
he ain't the one-line king for nothing. All right, Chad, we thank you for your time here tonight. It was very in-depth. It was
Chad.
very enjoyable.
Had a great time with you, buddy.
Guys, had a great time. Thank you.
That was a lot of fun.
All right,
brother.
we'll be keeping
Hey,
in touch.
good luck with your mocks. Good
Thank
luck
you.
with all your predictions, and we'll be sure to follow you on Twitter. And Walsh, how do we follow him on Twitter?
You're going to find him on Twitter at NFL Draft Bites.
All right, guys. Take care. Have a great time.
All right, later.
Be well.
Great guy right there for the interview. Really, really appreciate his time and all that. Very insightful guy. Make sure you find him on Twitter. And, anything
Welcome
else?
back.
Yeah, no, yeah. I thought he hung up. I thought I was done too. All
I
right.
know that was a long interview, but a lot of information
No,
out there for
that
all
was
you
fun,
for all you
I
draft
don't know.
experts.
So now, can we open up the phone lines, give the phone number out. Let's get the calls going.
We'll get them going. All right, but let's get to a break first before
All
we
right,
get there.
before you go to the break, give the number.
All right, if you can read, the number down there is at
I'm
the
not
bottom.
that good at it.
201-467-4673. We're going to get to a video break right now, but when we get back, the Calls News Network.
15 minutes of fame. Let's go.